21 minutes past 6. Now, cleaning up our polluted lakes, rivers and coastlines will be another top priority for the new government. Just after 7 o'clock this morning, we'll be getting an update on the finances of Britain's biggest water company, Thames Water.
Let's first go to Nina, who is by a lovely stretch of the River Thames for us this morning. You see swimmers in the background, Nina. Looks gorgeous, but lots of concerns, aren't there, about the health of our rivers?
There are. This is a beautiful spot, though, Sarah. Good morning to you. We are about a mile or so just down the river from Twickenham that way. We have here the Teddington Blue Tits. Morning, guys. We've got Ruth, Rebecca, Rita. Simon's gone off somewhere. Oh, there he is. Morning, Simon. Having a lovely time, but of course the state of the river and sewage within the river was a key election issue, wasn't it? There were concerns around the safety of the River Thames, and that became a big issue in Keir Starmer's inbox. It's said to be one of the most urgent issues he's dealing with, and we'll look at why. So Thames Water serves around 16 million customers. It is the biggest in the UK, the biggest water company. They have debts, though, of more than £15 billion. And when we get the results later today and then we consider their 5-year plan on Thursday morning, there is potentially a chance that the price of being a customer for Thames Water will go up by 44%. There's a really important background to this as well. So last year, the amount of sewage in the River Thames quadrupled compared to the year before, and that's with customers paying more than £420 annually for that service, the highest in the country. It doesn't feel fair, does it, on the people who live here? Let's talk to Marlena there, who is Chief Teddington Tit. They said that's your name, that's not me making that up. Morning to you, thanks for having us. What a spot. You must love coming here.
Yeah, isn't it beautiful? It's just naturally beautiful, and just being upstream of Teddington Lock, it's the first bit of non-tidal river, and that's why we really love swimming here.
Do you have concerns around safety? Because I know the tidal state here means it's relatively safe. You're constantly checking sewage output, but it can't be easy.
Yes, no, I check it daily. And yes, we do have concerns and we swim mindfully. But, you know, I understand the government has made it a priority to action the water companies, and hopefully they will properly find them and manage them. Our main concern as well, because this river is used so widely with different water groups. We were going to apply for bathing water status, and all applications have been suspended while they redefine their criteria. So I would like that to be reinstated, because lots of companies along here, the canoe clubs, depend on river quality. You know, people send their children to learn to row and to canoe, and they won't if they know the river quality is bad. So this is so important, especially for this area, which is so widely used.
What would you like to see happen now in terms of the management of the water and in terms of what the government could do about it?
I'd like the government to fine and manage the water companies properly. I don't want the government to say it's OK to increase everyone's bills by 40%. That would just be wrong in light of how the water companies have been managing themselves.
Thank you very much, Marlena. I will let you get in for a dip because I know you're desperate to get in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy. I'm quite envious. I have got my cosy in my bag there. We'll see later whether we use it. Thank you. There are big questions this morning when we get those results at 7 o'clock. First of all, how could a public company that's serving such a key public service be allowed to get into this state? Second of all, who will pay for managing it? How will it change? And how much will customers have to foot the bill? And finally, in the meantime, what are the implications on water safety and on water quality? Important to say that Thames Water say they are confident in the safety of the water, and they are investing, they say, millions in infrastructure. I will leave you, John and Sarah, with the Teddington Blue Tits having a lovely splash about.
I thought you were going to say you're going to rip off your Mac and jump in.
I think that's a no, John.
I think you're right.
Just going to ignore that question, right. And quite rightly so.
Or rips off the microphone and disappears.
Well, looking absolutely gorgeous near Kingston, but it's time now to get the news of travel and weather wherever you are. Now, in the last few minutes, the UK's largest water company, Thames Water, has released its annual financial results. And Nina has been looking through the figures for us. Nina, what do they show?
Yeah, good morning from the River Thames. Just to give you some context on the business, it's one that's overseeing a river that in the space of 1 year quadrupled the amount of recorded sewage within it. It's quite a mixed picture because within this they talk about the positives, so the profits after tax of £140 million, growth in underlying revenue to £2.4 billion, and that reflects, they say, an inflation-linked increase to charges for water and wastewater services. Implicit in that then that they're charging their customers more money in order to, in their words, change their infrastructure and improve what they describe as their ageing assets. They do say our performance in pollution and sewage discharges is not where it should be. They say the number of reported pollutions is up by about 10%, but that their earnings have come up. They say we will continue to invest and to meet regulations and environmental disciplines. So the picture is that they are making enough money to get by at the moment. The concern for this new government was that nationalisation would have to happen, that they were in such financial dire straits that a government takeover would be imminent. In this report, the words are reassuring, but they do concede that the river is not being managed in a way it should be. It will take a great deal of investment, a whole revolution of their current creaking infrastructure in order to ensure that the River Thames is safe for the next generation.
Nina, thank you. Thanks very much indeed. It's 24 minutes past 8, and in the last hour, the UK's biggest water company, Thames Water, has released its annual financial results.
Yeah, Nina has been looking at them for us. So, Nina, just go through the figures. What does it tell us about Thames Water?
Yes, good morning. I've been going through the figures, but also having a lovely time with the Teddington Blue Tits this morning. Just to put you in situ where we are, we're about a mile upriver from Twickenham and that way. Morning, guys. We've got Magnus, James, Phoebe, Claire, Tarka and Harvey, the dogs down here, the little labs who have been running in and out of shot this morning, but a pleasure to have them with us. Less of a pleasure has been scrutinising the numbers of Thames Water this morning. So they announced profits today of £157 million. But put that in the context of the debt that they're in, confirmed this morning at £15.2 billion in order to pay it and begin the reparations on the creaking Victorian sewage system in the capital. Their hope is to increase bills, household bills under Thames Water by 44%. It's already at £420 on average per household. 16 million households, 60 million people have their water provided by Thames Water. Today's report, though, did say that they're investing more than £2 billion in what they describe as their aging assets, saying our performance in discharge is not where it should be. Let's find out more about what that means from Mark, who is a microbiologist. Good morning to you. Not where it should be. What is the impact on the water?
Well, what happens is basically if you've got the organisms moving into the river from outfalls, from spillage, from rain runoff, you're going to get organisms building up in the water. Some of those are pathogenic, disease-causing organisms such as E. coli, and you're going to have a problem there in terms of giving infection to people like our blue tits out there swimming away. If they get water into their lungs, if they breathe it in, if they get it into cuts and wounds and what have you, and if it gets in their ears and eyes. So getting these organisms' numbers down is really important.
Is the level of contamination at this moment irreversible?
No, it very much is reversible. We can very much turn that back. By having better infrastructure around the Victorian pipes, as you mentioned earlier, we have a much bigger population than we did when the sewage system was put in. So now getting that up to spec with where we are in terms of the population means that we can have less material going into the rivers and therefore improve the river's health. So
it's doable. Thank you, Mark. Yeah. And important to say that Thames did say this morning they are confident that the water you drink that comes out of the tap is safe. But for blue tits like you, Simon, who are out there every day, how safe do you feel going forward looking at the water?
So I swim 2 or 3 times a week in the river, and mostly I'm confident that the water quality is good. I know local groups have tested it and have found that often the water quality is good, but we also know that when there's heavy rainfall that there's sewage treatment works further upriver that do spill into the water, and we know that we get sewage discharges into the river. So I won't swim if there's been heavy rain. And I think what I'd really like is better information about the quality. Yeah. I'd like more monitoring. I'd like to know if, I'd love it to be a bathing water status here, so it's monitored weekly so that we can be really confident. So we know it can be. We know the water quality can be good here, but we also know it can be really bad. But what we don't know is when it's good and when it's bad. And I would love Thames Water to help keep us better informed about the water quality on a regular basis, so that we can.
Gorgeous community here, and wonderful baked snacks. We've sampled many of them this morning. Thank you, Simon. What about those plans then that have been mentioned about nationalising the water company because it is in such dire straits? Well, they say they're confident they have enough in the coffers to last until March of next year. And Jim McMahon this morning, Levelling Up Minister, has told BBC Breakfast there are no plans to nationalise it. They say, why should people who pay water rates have to pay twice? Once for the company in the first place, and secondly, if it's backed up by nationalisation. Big questions remain, though. First of all, how has regulation failed to this extent that it's got in such dire straits as a provider of a key element of water? Secondly, where do we go from here? What are the repercussions for Thames Water? And thirdly, how long can Londoners, how long can the Teddington blue titters and anyone drinking tap water in the capital feel safe?
How long is that dog going to keep trying to get his ball back for, Nina?
As long as he's not coming back and running around my legs like he was earlier,
someone's
he's
come to the
absolutely fine
rescue.
chasing the ball.
There we go. Too late. Getting out again.
Well done, Harvey.
Good work,
Well, there
Harv.
we go.
Oh, don't splash Nina. Oh, sorry about that. At least you've got your raincoat on. See you again a bit later.
Thanks, Nina.
Now, as we've been hearing this morning, the UK's largest water company, Thames Water, has released its annual financial results. And Nina has been looking at all the figures for us this morning. What do they tell us?
Morning, Sarah. Well, you'll know that Thames Water is the UK's biggest water provider with 16 million customers. We learned more detail this morning about their financial dire straits, £15.2 billion worth of debt. They admitted as well that the sewage treatment is not where it should be, that pollution within the Thames has seen an increase, although they do say that financially they are investing more than £2 billion in that creaking Victorian infrastructure, and that they are in a position to survive, they say, until about May of next year. But they are desperate for investment as things stand. There is a 5-year plan that could be signed off on Thursday by Ofwat, the regulator, and as part of that, those who are Thames Water customers would see their utility bills increase by 44%. They'll be scratching their heads and wondering whether that's fair to get a service that has been poor and to pay much more than £420 annually for it. What about nationalisation then? That has been discussed when companies that are this important get themselves into such deep water. Well, this morning we heard Jim McMahon telling BBC Breakfast that is not going to happen. Why? They say, should the taxpayer have to pay twice? First, initially, to provide the water company with its revenue, and then again to bail it out of debt. In their view, that is not fair. Even if Thames Water does get beyond the next year, some huge questions remain around its survival, around how the regulator has allowed it to get to this point, and whether and when and for how long Londoners can feel safe swimming and using water like this and simply pouring it from a tap.
Plenty more analysis, I'm sure, throughout the day on the BBC News website. Thanks, Nina.